Hi, so let me just show you. That's all to sort out, so wish me luck. So I'm just looking at the piles of books in front of me and I'm wondering, one, where they're all going to go, two, what was I thinking? Get yourself a snack, get yourself a drink, it's going to be a long one. Hello everyone, it's Rebecca here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, how you doing? Today I'm bringing you a massive book haul, as in a massive book haul.
Butthole.
Really?
Massive butthole.
This is why I do this when you're downstairs.
I'll stop.
What?
I'll stop.
No you won't though. So after counting the books, I've counted about 40 of them, so I don't know where they're going to go. Let's just get into it. I have a pile of used books and I have a pile of new books, so I'm going to go through the used ones first. The first one I have is a one that my wonderful best friend gave to me once she'd finished reading, and that was The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is book one of the Inheritance trilogy. I've never read N.K. Jemisin, yet I own two of her books. Both of them I'm really highly anticipating reading, so I think I might read one of them for an upcoming video idea that I have, which now that I've mentioned it I kind of have to do. But this follows Gods and Mortals, Power and Love, Death and Revenge. She will inherit them all. Okay, so this, by the sounds of it, is just going to be a struggle to the throne, like a battle to the throne with family ties and things. I'm quite interested in it actually. I like going into things sometimes not knowing much about them, and this seems to be one of those things. Next up I have two books that I got recently from a Facebook group that I'm part of, and that is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava and Lavender by Leslie Walton and Raw. Can't hold the books properly. Raw by Cora Carmack, sorry. I've heard a lot about both of these when they first came out. They were quite highly, ooh, this one has a bookplate in it. They were quite highly sought after, so I'm quite excited to get to both of these. So next up we have a few books that I've received from someone on Instagram. I basically paid postage and a couple of pounds for the books, and this someone is someone who I normally get books from if they're going on Instagram anyway. First one I have is The Deep by Rivers Solomon. Blech, can't get my words out. This one I've heard some really good things about. It's a siren story and it follows Yetu, who holds the memories of her people in her thoughts. I believe. Holds the memories for her people, water-dwelling descendants of pregnant African slave women thrown overboard by slave owners who live idyllic lives in the deep. Their past, too traumatic to be remembered regularly, is forgotten by everyone save one, the historian. This demanding role has been bestowed on Yetu. So because Yetu remembers everyone and everything, she flees to the surface, and I'm guessing she finds out that life has dramatically changed above sea level, possibly, I don't know. I'm quite intrigued. The next one I have is The Burning by Laura Bates. I'd seen this one before on its release. It follows a young girl who moves to a new town. There's no traces of her old life, nothing like that to trace her back to a certain event. But then things start unravelling, so she thinks she has this whole new life when actually it's only just the beginning of resurfacing everything she's supposed to be moving on from. This is quite short as well actually for this kind of book, so I'm quite intrigued to see where this goes. I'm assuming that basically shit is going to hit the fan and I'm there for that. Next up we have a sequel, and that is Tunnel of Bones by V.E. Schwab. This is the sequel to City of Ghosts. These are ghosty middle grade books that follow a family who kind of do like most haunted kind of things, but the only difference is that their daughter can actually see the ghosts, so while they're just faking it, she can actually see them. This one follows on from the first one. I haven't read that yet, in the sense that this one is in Paris, I believe, rather than Edinburgh, because they're filming their TV show there, and I'm guessing Cassidy finds out more ghosty stuff. As I said, I haven't read the first one, so I don't really want to read the back of this because then I'll be spoiled. So the next ones I have are all ones that I've purchased myself. And these were all done, apart from three of them. Yeah, apart from three of them, these were all done when we went for our little trip away. So I'll do the three that I have previously mentioned first. So the three that I previously mentioned were in one of my reading vlogs where I went out to Newcastle for the day and bought a few books. There's also some new ones in that pile and I'll just skip over them when I get to them. First one I have is Deadline by Myra Grant. The first in this series is Feed. I need to pick up Feed, but this is basically a Wi-Fi style zombie story, I believe, or an infection story. So Probably not the best thing to read right now. I then have Never Fade and In the Afterlight by Alexandra Bracken. These ones are the sequels to The Darkest Minds, which I have here. So they do kind of, to an extent, match, just these ones are shiny, these ones aren't, which isn't the worst, but you know, not ideal. Might as well put them away while I'm on it. These next few are ones I bought myself when myself and Dan went away on our little mini break a couple of weeks ago. Again, that is in a vlog, so I will leave a link to that up there or down below. Basically, we did some shopping while we were away. We went to Yorkshire and we ended up in Harrogate, where I bought a couple of things, I believe, and then we ended up in Hexham, which, if you know the UK, they're quite a distance apart. But anyway, first one I want to show you is one that I didn't actually know existed, and that is A Slice of the Moon by Sandy Toksvig. Now, Sandy Toksvig is a comedian, presenter, just a TV personality with such a bubbly character. Like, I really like Sandy Toksvig's stuff that she's in. So she's in QI, she was in Bake Off, on panel shows she's always really funny. I would love to see Sandy Toksvig live actually, but you know, COVID. Anyway, she's also an author, clearly, and this, as far as I know, is a children's book. I'm not sure if it's the first or the second, because it sounds like it follows a family's journey across the world, but it says it's from the author of Hitler's Canary, so I think Hitler's Canary might be the first in the series and this might be the sequel. But when I seen this, I had to pick it up because the cover is quite pretty, and there being Sandy Toksvig as well. And if you look at it properly, actually, if I do this, right, if I go cover to cover, it's a full thing, like, it's a full landscape. Like, I'm just really easily pleased. But this follows Slim Hannigan and her family, who are poor but happy. Theirs is a life filled with love and laughter and a pet pig called Hamlet. But things change overnight, and suddenly they find themselves facing hunger and danger like they've never known. So they leave their village in Ireland to journey to America, where they hope family and fortune await them. Slim soon finds herself living a life that feels just like one of those far-fetched stories her dad's always told. Can one brave girl keep her family together no matter what is thrown at them? Maybe this is a new series or a standalone, but either way, I'm really excited to have this in my possession. The next one I have is a BookTube love book, and that is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This one follows Oliver, who at the start of the book comes out of serving a 10-year prison sentence for a crime that he may or may not have committed, and the officer who put him away at the start of it all is there waiting for him when he comes out to find out what really happened. Then we find out the story about 7 people who their lives seem to be intertwined on and off the stage, as Oliver is a playwright, I believe, or an actor. Yeah, he's an actor. So we notice that his talented classmates are all kind of following this persona on and off the stage, and then a tragedy strikes between one of the 7 friends, which clearly Oliver gets the blame for. So I'm quite intrigued to see what's kind of like behind all of this, like what triggers it all, and I'm thinking, this must pack a punch for being that small. It must be like jam-packed with information. And with this being a firm BookTube favourite, I really want to read it. Next up we have a sequel to something that I own but I have not read, and that is The Passage by Justin Cronin. This is the sequel to The 12, which also has a creepy girl on the front. This is a dystopian, a YA dystopian that came out probably like 2011, 2012, I believe. I still haven't picked it up. Next up we have another BookTube popular, and that is State of Sorrow by Melinda Salisbury. To be honest, I did just pick this up, 1 because of the cover and 2 because I knew it was a BookTube favourite. We have 2 more left of these used books, and then we've got the new books. This video is going to be a long one. But next up we have Rose Madder by Stephen King. This is in a mass market paperback size and it's got a shiny cover. But I seen this and I was like, it's quite an intriguing one from what I can tell. It follows Rosie Daniels, who wakes up the chilling realisation that her husband is going to kill her. So she nicks off and takes his credit card, because that's the sensible thing to do. Take his credit card so we can track you. No, you don't take his credit card, you take his wallet. You take the whole thing. But anyway, alone in a strange city, Rosie begins to build a new life. She meets Bill and she finds an odd junk shop painting Rose Madder, which strangely seems to want her as much as she wants it. But it's hard for Rosie not to keep looking over her shoulder. Rose maddened and on the rampage, Norman is a corrupt cop with a dog's instinct for tracking people, and he's getting close. Rosie can feel just how close he's getting. I'd heard of this one before and I was tempted to pick it up, and every time I went to go get it in a second-hand shop, it wasn't there. Next up we have a middle grade, and that is The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. This one I believe is a Baba Yaga retelling. The house moves, it has legs, it moves, it goes wherever it wants to go, and it follows Marinka, who dreams of a normal life where her house does not move. I've heard really good things about this one on just every single middle grade reader who's read this and mentioned it on their channel seems to love it, so I think I'm onto a winner really by picking this one up. And the last one is the second copy for me and that's The Martian by Andy Weir. So yes, I already own this, I love it, but this is the American edition with like the flap And I remember buying this for Vanessa for her birthday one year and completely surprising her because she said she would only have a copy of The Martian if it was this edition. I remember her picking this up and absolutely loving it. I actually have footage of it somewhere, so if I can find it I will put it in, of her opening this book. But anyway, I'm really pleased that I found this because this edition is just beautiful. Like, I love the colours of it. Like, this is the kind of thing that I really liked in the cover, and that's what drew me into it in the first place. Obviously Matt Damon is on the UK edition because it's the movie tie-in. This is prettier. This is the kind of thing that I can face out on my shelves, which is what I'm going to do because I don't have enough orange books on my shelves, so I'm going to face this one out because I just love it so much. So if you don't know, this follows Mark Watney, who is an astronaut. So him and his 6 crewmates are on a mission to Mars, and he is one of the first people to walk on Mars. As they are picking up samples and things, a storm comes in and Mark gets stuck outside trying to fix some kit that is kind of like basically doing its own thing because of the storm. They decide to abort the mission. Everybody has to get back on the ship because of how dangerous the sandstorm is, because it's uncharted territory. They don't know how bad it's going to be. So when they go to you know, vacate Mars, Mark gets left behind because he is struck by debris and knocked out, and his vitals show, basically his vitals show that he's knocked out unconscious. They're never going to get him back in time because the storm's too dangerous to go back and get him from. They leave him behind. Little do they know, he is still alive and kicking. So yeah, I really loved this. If you haven't read it, if you haven't seen the film's probably on Netflix or Amazon Prime. I would highly recommend it, but I would recommend you read this first. This is easily the funniest opening page that I've read ever, and I just love it. If you love like satirical comedy, if you love down-to-earth bluntness about a really tragic situation but in a light-hearted way, this is for you. So on to the new books now. First one we have is another BookTube favourite, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. This is the one I picked up when I was away. Really excited. So from what I can tell and from what I've heard about this, it follows a group of friends who decide to do a Ouija board, and they kind of veer off that idea, and in the middle of it all, they just assume it's all like paranormally nonsense, but clearly not, because they have to perform an exorcism on their best friend. I'm guessing this is like a comedy horror. Like, I get the impression that Grady Hendrix does comedy horror. Probably very wrong, but I'm very excited nonetheless. Next up we have one that I have already mentioned in one of my vlogs, but was sent to me from the publisher, and that is The Once and Future Queen by Clara O'Connor. This is an is it an Arthurian retelling? Yes, it's an Arthurian retelling set in Londinium, as if Julius Caesar had never died, I think. Basically, I'm very interested in this one. It comes out in January 2021, so I have a little bit of time to read this one. Next up we have the Illumicrate book for September. This one was announced as well, so if you haven't seen the announcement, you've probably been living under a rock. But also, spoiler alert if you haven't already seen the book, but that is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, magic school where basically you either graduate or you die. So I'm quite intrigued to see where Naomi Novik can take that. I didn't really enjoy Spinning Silver. I have read that, well, part of it because I DNF'd it. I haven't really read that, so I don't know if this writing is going to be too flowery for me in the way that Spinning Silver was, because it felt like the story just dragged on. So hopefully this one is better because it's a heck of a lot shorter, so hopefully she gets to the point sooner. Next up we have a one that I have mentioned several times before, and that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. This one I picked up on the recommendation of Taylor from Made by the Pages. Yeah, that's right. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Anyway, this is recommended to me by Taylor. I will leave a link to her channel down below. Taylor is absolutely lovely. Go check her out. Go subscribe. She deserves way more subscribers than what she's got. This follows Jade, Jade is the lifeblood of the city of Janloon, a stole that enhances a warrior's natural strength and speed. It's mined, traded, stolen and killed for, all controlled by 2 families equal in their power and ruthlessness. When a modern drug emerges that allows anyone to wield Jade, simmering tension between the 2 clans erupts into open war. So I'm excited to see that basically this is going to be a mafia drug war, essentially, over this really powerful stone, and I just really fancy it. So thanks for the recommendation, Taylor. It's very much appreciated. Next up we have a one that doesn't really fit in with what I've mentioned so far, but that is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. It's a Christmas romance, okay? And this was recommended on Olivia from Olivia Reads Alate's channel. It's also been recommended to people who prefer their newer works, such as The Unhoneymooners, which is one of my favourite books of last year, easily. So I can't wait to snuggle up with this one at the start of December and get me into the Christmassy spirit. I don't really know how that's going to do that, but this follows Malin. She's living with her parents, hates her going nowhere job, and has just made a romantic error of epic proportions. But perhaps worst of all, this is the last Christmas May will be at her favourite place in the world, the snowy Utah cabin where she and her family have spent the holidays every year since she was born. So she basically is having a breakdown, essentially, of some sort, and she throws out what she thinks is a simple plea to the universe, such as, please show me what will make me happy. And this basically turns into a Groundhog Day for May until she can get it right and until she can find out what makes her happy. And I think this is going to be a disaster, but also a really sweet disaster at the same time, if that's possible. So I'm here for all of the feels with this one. Next up, we have 5 things that I have previously mentioned in vlogs. I will leave a link to the vlog. It's the same vlog that I got deadline and I never fade all of that in, so I will just mention them and then put them away. But booktube favourite, Ribera by Jordan Ifueko. We then have Before the Coffee Gets Cold, Tales from the Cafe by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a signed edition and I picked it up because 1, it was signed, and 2, it was on the offer. I then have the Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa. This one is one that I've been highly anticipating. As I said, I've mentioned all of these in another video, so I'm just rushing through them because I'm aware of the time. And next up we have The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is like Knives Out apparently, but takes it a step further, which I'm very pleased about. We then have The Ghost Tree by Christina Henry. This one is a signed edition from Forbidden Planet, and it is a thrillery horror, which, if you've read her other works like Alice and Red Riding Hood, that's not right, Through the Looking Glass, that's really not right. Basically, she's previously wrote twisted fairy tale retellings with a paranormal / horror thrill through it, so I'm expecting this to be very dark and gritty. And this follows 2 friends who've been the best friends for years. They start to drift apart. 2 girls' bodies are discovered in the woods, and it kind of brings them back together again, from what I can tell. Okay, so next up, we are getting there. So next up I have a booktube favourite in Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Barron. This one I've heard is basically the modern Cinderella, like as in if you wanted Cinderella to be updated, this is how you would do it. And to be honest, that gets me really excited. Like, I'm really looking forward to getting around to this one at some point. As you can tell, I have a while to go. I also picked up The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Keep, 1 because it was on offer, and 2 because Beth from Books Nest has mentioned this. I'll leave her channel down below. This follows characters that come out of books and somebody basically is supposed to be in charge of keeping them in the books, similar to the Library of the Unwritten, but these characters get out and start wreaking havoc through the city, and our main character has to basically go find them all, from what I can tell. Next up we have 2 middle grades, and I'm really excited for both of them. We have a Frostheart Escape from Aurora by Jamie Littler. This is the sequel to Frostheart 1. It's got the same matching sprayed edges, and this is only available in Waterstones apparently with the sprayed edges. Obviously you can get the book anywhere else, but if you want the exclusive edition, it's Waterstones. This is a sequel to Frostheart, which I really need to get around to. So I don't know much about it other than this is another booktube fave. As I mentioned earlier, there are a group of booktubers who absolutely love certain middle grades and they really sell them. They're really good at their job, so hopefully I'll enjoy this when I get around to it. We then have The Danger Gang by Tom Fletcher. I picked this up because it's half price and it's something else that I was really sold on. And Tom Fletcher is the lead singer in McFly and a huge social media presence in general. He is also an author of the Dinosaur That Pooped series. And I can't wait to have children to give them those books, and also The Creakers and the Christmasaurus. So I'm very excited for this because this is like a Halloween-y, spooky kind of one. Basically follows this group of kids where weird things start happening on their street. Yeah, so Frankie moves to a new town. He wishes he didn't have to leave his best friend Danny behind. Then there's a storm and everything changes after the storm, when strange green lightning and powerful thunder crash down on the town. From that night on, the kids who live on Frankie's street start to change. One by one, they become a little odd, a little unusual, a little magical. Frankie's always wanted to be part of an amazing gang, just like his hero super spy, Zach Danger. And soon he realises that there's real danger in store for himself and his new friends, and so the Danger Gang is born. It's got really cool illustrations underneath the cover, actually. I really like the contrasting like green and yellow, and they also continue onto the inside flap. And yeah, excited for this one. Next up we have two that I bought on a deal most recently, and that is Pine by Francine Toon. This was one of the Waterstones book of the month when I picked it up, so obviously I had to get it. This follows Lauren and her father Niall, who live alone in the Highlands, so it's a UK based book, a Scottish based book, in a small village surrounded by pine forest. When a woman stumbles out onto the road one Halloween night, Niall drives her back to the house in his pickup. In the morning she's gone. In a community where daughters rebel, men quietly rage, and drinking as a means of forgetting, mysteries are not out of the ordinary. Locked doors and stone circles, the disappearance of Lauren's mother a decade ago. Lauren looks for answers in her tarot cards, hoping she might one day be able to read her father's turbulent mind. Neighbours know more than they let on, but when a local teenager goes missing, it's no longer clear who she can trust. This is a horror-tinged novel. It's supposed to be really, 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 really creepy and quite gothic-y. And to be honest, I'm quite, you know, intrigued by that. Like, that does sound really interesting to me, so I picked that one up. I then have one that is taking the whole of BookTube by storm right now, and that is Legend Born by Tracy Dion. This follows Bree, whose mother dies in an accident, so she goes through a residential program for bright high schoolers, which seems like the perfect opportunity to kind of help her, like, kind of get over what's been going on, until she witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. So then I didn't read any more of the back. I just knew that it was very, very popular on BookTube, and that's all I wanted to know, is the fact that she basically tries to escape her current life and gets thrown into a completely screwed up new one. So very excited for that one. So then this one, this is from a little place called Forum Books. So Forum Books is based in Corbridge in Northumberland, so if you are passing, it is well worth a visit. They have some really, 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 really good books in there. There's a lot of signed editions. It's an independent bookshop, so I would definitely recommend that if you can support them, support them. When I was there, I was like, I need to find this place, because we'd been before and I'd never been in. So I was like, I need to find this bookshop. So I made Dan walk around in circles until we found it. They also slipped in a little bookmark for me, thanks for them. So the first one I have is Pages & Co. Tilly and the Book Wanderers by Anna James. This is a middle grade which has a few books out in it now in a series. This follows Tilly, who's lived above her grandparents' bookshop ever since her mother disappeared. One day her favourite characters start to appear in the bookshop, and she discovers that she can follow them into their worlds with the magic of book wandering. This sounds more like Inkheart, if you know what that is, by Cornelia Funke. I tried to read that when I was younger. My grandparents bought me the books and I couldn't get into it, and I think at the time I was just too young. So I think this is going to be like a more child-friendly version of that, so I'm quite excited to get to that one. Next up, obviously there's the bookmark. Next up I picked up a mystery book. It's a thin mystery book, and I was trying to see what it was beneath the cover and I couldn't see. So basically it's wrapped in really pretty ribbon. It says, within the pages of this novel you will find out more about the world of books than you ever imagined. Estina Lente. And I did try and Google that, but I realised that I was standing over this table for a very, very, very long time, and it was starting to look suspicious, so I thought I'd better grab it. There was spy thrillers, there was loads of different things on there actually, and because it was a book about books, I was very tempted by it. So let's see what we have. Oh, it's a very long bit of string. It's like Christmas, which is probably when you'll be seeing this book haul by the time I edit it. Okay, it's got a blue cover. It's got a quote that says, "Too funny and plain enjoyable" by Erin Morgenstern. Interesting. It's a bestseller. Oh, yes! So I have actually been looking for this. I did almost pick this up. This is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan. I did almost pick this up last time I was in Waterstones, so I'm pleased that I didn't now, or else that would be very embarrassing. But this follows Clay, who has been shuffled out of his life as a web design drone and serendipity, coupled with sheer curiosity, which has landed him a new job working the night shift at Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. But it doesn't take long for Clay to realise that the quiet, dusty book emporium is even more curious than the name suggests. I'm guessing things come alive. Maybe. This was quite exciting actually, so thank you for them. I was going to say that's it, but it's not. I have one more. It's very much slightly out of reach. I'm like, ugh. Why did I do this to myself? Anyway, got a parcel. I did double points on the Prime Day. Basically, Waterstones did their own version of that with double points. So I got this. And I also pre-ordered Ready Player 2. I tried to get the signed edition, but it was sold out. So I bought Ready Player 2 because myself and Dan really want to read it. And Dan openly went, that would be good, I want to read it when you read it. So now the pressure is on for me to actually read that when it comes. One that I also got because I wanted double points was A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is the book on BookTube from the past couple of months, and you know what, a lot of people have been really enjoying it, so I decided to pick it up rather than wait for the paperback, because I did look for paperbacks of things that I wanted. I love that colour, and they weren't coming out until 2021, so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to bite the bullet. If I'm really struggling for presents off people, I will give them this to give me, you know, surprise, because it is my birthday and Christmas coming up. But anyway, this follows Malik, who sees the Solstasia festival as a chance to escape his war-stricken home and start a new life with his sisters in the prosperous desert city of Zaran. When a vengeful spirit abducts Malik's younger sister Nadia as payment to enter the city, Malik strikes a fatal deal: kill Khania, a crown princess of Zaran, in exchange for Nadia's freedom. But Karina has deadly aspirations of her own. Her mother, the Sultana, has been assassinated. Her court threatens mutiny, and Solstasia looms with it like a knife over her neck. Grief-stricken, Karina decides to resurrect her mother through ancient magic and requiring the beating heart of a king, and she knows just how to obtain that one, by offering her hand in marriage to the victor of the Solstasia competition. When Malik rigs his way into the contest, he and Karina set onto a heart-pounding course to destroy each other. If as attraction flares between them in ancient evil stir, will they be able to see their tasks to the death? I don't think they will. Like, ow. I think love is going to get in the way, and I'm quite excited for that. That is it. That is my huge book haul done. So that is it for today's video. If you open that description box, you'll find a link to all my social media channels, as well as the channels I've mentioned in here, the videos I mentioned in here. I was going to say the books, but I might just put them all in a Google Doc, or if you want to know more info about any of the books, leave them in the comments down below and I will send you the links to them. These links are affiliate links, so if you do choose to click through and purchase that book, I will receive a slight commission from Amazon for that. It is something new that I have started doing, and they sometimes do really good deals. But anyway, as I said, if you open that description box, you find a link to all my social medias. The like and subscribe button's also there. If you click that bell icon as well, you'll be notified every time I post. I am trying to post weekly, if not more frequently than once a week, but I'm going to hit a burnout phase at some point, and I feel like this video will be it. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. My socials are down below. If you open that description box, obviously that's where you'll find them. Come say hi on any of the other social media platforms. Come add me on Goodreads, follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, whatever. Tell me that I sent you from my book haul video. And if you've made it this long, let's do what Steph did in her video and leave a book emoji down below, because this is ridiculous. So thank you all so much for watching, and I shall see you all soon in another video. Bye!